Let me know when it's up there.
It should be up now.
See, yep, we're okay. We are live with Team France versus Team Spain. So as the visiting team is Spain, we're going to start with Nicolas in the 3-3-3. Am I right in that regard? Okay. So you can take your warm-ups whenever you're ready. Thank you. That is clean with a 2.059. Second attempt. I'll call that clean, but
Yeah.
6.466. And third attempt whenever you're ready. Nice. 1.921. Cool. So we now move on to Mario. And you can take your two warm-ups whenever you're ready. Do you want to do your two warm-ups? Cool. And can I see the zeros on your timer? Thank you. First attempt whenever you're ready. That is clean with a 2.741. All right. Yeah, reset it to show you zeros again. Thank you. And you can take your second attempt. That's a scratch, unfortunately. And your third attempt. That is also clean with a 4.913. Alrighty. So we now move on to Clara. You can take your two warm-ups whenever you're ready. Thank you. That is clean. With a 4.468. And thank you. Second attempt whenever you're ready. Of, I think clean. Might be all in the down stack there, but 6.681. And thank you. Third attempt whenever you're ready. That is clean. That's a 3.491. Well done. And last member of Team Spain for 3-3 would be Pablo.
Yes, yes.
So could we get Pablo on the main stage? There you go. All right, two warm-ups whenever you're ready.
Yeah. Oh,
And first attempt. That is clean, 3.136. And second attempt. 812. And third attempt. That is a scratch, unfortunately. So that was it for Team Spain for 333. We'll now go on to Team France with Siegfried. Okay, 2 warm-ups whenever you're ready. And first attempt. Nice, that's a 2.057. Second attempt. A 1.893. And third attempt. So 1.841. Well done. Go on to Florent for 333. So you can take your 2 warm-ups whenever you're ready. First attempt. Nice, that's a 4.335. Second attempt. One 415. And third attempt whenever you're ready. That is clean, 3.117. Well done. Gonna now move on to Adrian. You can take your 2 warm-ups whenever you're ready. First attempt whenever you're ready. .753. Second attempt. Four, 8, 6. And third attempt. 3.806. Well done. And Simon.
Sorry. I'll just go back again.
No problem. There we go. Simon, you can do your 2 warm-ups. Okay. First attempt whenever you're ready. .711. Second attempt. That would be a scratch. And third attempt. That'll be a scratch. So, we're now going to go on to doubles. So we have Alejandro and Victor. So, Alejandro, you can have your 2 warm-ups. This is the doubles, so it's the cycle.
Sin calentamiento, no, mamá. Con
Con calentamientos, 2 calentamientos, Alejandro, de ciclo, sí. De ciclo, que estos dobles. Esto acábalo como ciclo, eso, ya está. Y este es el último calentamiento.
All right. I'll give him another one. Another one. Or we do that.
I
Sure.
told him that was, yeah.
Yeah, we'll do that. Okay. That's zeros. Thank you. So you can do your first attempt. All right. That is clean. So that's a 9.902. So Victor can now do his two warm-ups. Ready. First attempt whenever you're ready. That is clean, 12.092. Alrighty. That's a clean first attempt. You can go do your second attempt there, Alejandro, with the zeros. Thank you. That is clean. 8.380. And Victor can do his second attempt. Is 19.780. 816. And ooh, sorry. My question for Henrik, do I just add the two times together, or am I dividing it by two with the total?
You add them and divide by 2.
Okay, we'll do that. So 1 second, guys. 14, two, these. Sorry, guys. All right. So thank you for the zeros. You can do your third attempt. That is clean with an 8.270. And Victor can take his third attempt. That is clean with a 10.510. Sorry, 1 sec.
Ma, quelli che comandano
Alrighty. Mhm. Alrighty. So we're now going to go on to Pablo and Nicolas. So Pablo can take his two warm-ups. So whenever you're ready, you can take your first attempt.
Vale, debe.
10.661. And Nicholas, you can take your 2 warm-ups.
De tiro esto a la cabeza, ¿qué pasa? Te pego.
Thank you. First attempt.
Pegazo de palo. Si me puede. ¡Oh! Ya cambiaron.
That is clean. 6.554. So that is an 8. 1 second, sorry.
Ya. Tete.
Yep. All right. You can take your second attempt. That would
Pablo.
be a scratch. Nicholas, do you want to take your second attempt?
Sure. Okay.
Okay, go for it.
Tete.
All right. So this is going on to your third attempt.
No me parece.
It's clean, 13.578. Thank you. And third attempt. That is also clean with a 6.675. All right. We're now going on to Team France for doubles. So we have Siegfried and Adrian. So whenever you're ready, Siegfried can take his 2 warm-ups. All right, first attempt whenever you're ready. With a 6.567. Adrian, you can take your 2 warm-ups. You can take your first attempt whenever you're ready. That is clean with a 12.438. Siegfried, you can take your second attempt. That is clean with a 6.517. Adrian, you can take your second attempt. Over 26.722.
Zeg mais, je sais pas quand tu changes en cours, si.
And you could take your third attempt.
Il est là avec les bleus.
It is 7.27. And Adrian, you can take your third attempt. Ooh, it's 12.586. Alrighty, so we can go on to Olivier and Marion for their doubles. So, Olivier, you can take your two warm-ups. Oh, whenever you're ready, you can take your first attempt. $15.177. And Marion can take her two warm-ups. So, whenever you're ready, first attempt.
Ah, de l'autre côté.
That is clean with 27.617. And second. That is clean with a 12.962. Second attempt whenever you're ready. Is also clean with 11.583. And third attempt whenever you're ready. $9.816. And third attempt. That is an 8.905. All right, so that concludes the doubles. We can now go on to Team Spain for 363, starting with Nicolas. And he can do his 2 warm-ups whenever you're ready. Thank you. That is clean. 2.923. And thank you. Second attempt. That is all over the place. I think I'll scratch that. I don't know.
Yeah, it was slower than.
Yeah. So we'll do third attempt. Thank you. That is clean. 3.952. So we'll now move on to Mario for the 363. So he can do his 2 warm-ups whenever he's ready. Thank you. First attempt whenever you're ready. That is clean with a 4.305. Second attempt. Thank you. That is clean. So we'll get a time for that, please. That is a 10.159. And third attempt. Thank you. That is clean with a 3.680. We now move on to Clara. So 2 warm-ups. First attempt, whenever you're ready. Thank you.
Acá me convoca para el 3-3. Está bien.
That is clean. With a time of 4.102. Second attempt. Thank you. Well done. Let's see the time. 4.587. And third attempt. Thank you. That will be a scratch, unfortunately. So we'll now move on to Alejandro for 363. So you can take your 2 warm-ups. All right. Thank you. You can take your first attempt. That is clean with a 3.298. Yep. And we can do zeros. Thank you. You can do your second attempt. That is clean with a 5.382. And you can take your third attempt now. Thank you. That is clean. That's a 3.035. That will be Team Spain for 363. So we'll now go back to Team France with Siegfried. And you can take your 2 warm-ups. First attempt whenever you're ready. That's a 2.632. Second attempt. The 4.929. And third attempt. That is clean with a 2.405. Well done. We now go on to Florent for 363. You can take your 2 warm-ups whenever you're ready. First attempt. That is clean with a 3.609. Second attempt whenever you're ready. That is clean, 4.025. And third attempt. That is also clean, 5.501. We now move on to Adrian. So he can take his 2 warm-ups. All right, you can do your first attempt whenever you're ready. That is clean with a 3.348. Second attempt. That is clean with 5.226. And third attempt. It's clean with a 3.087. And last up for Team France, Marion. You can take your 2 warm-ups. All right, first attempt whenever you're ready. It's clean, 13.440. Second attempt. That is also clean. And third attempt. That's also clean with a 5.980. So we'll now move on to timed 363 relay for Team Spain first, I think. So that would be Nicolas, Mario, Clara, and Alejandro. Yes, that would be everyone. So, Nicholas, you can take your first attempt.
Wait.
That is clean. That's a 3.481. Mario, you can take your first attempt in the 363.
Alejandro, no puedes hacer tagging de mientras en los relevos.
That is clean. That is a 3.719. And it'd be Claro now, or Clara. Thank you. That is clean. The 3.911. And Alejandro, thank you. You can take first attempt. That is clean. With a 3.512. 623. Okay. You can now go on to your second attempt.
Uy. Now.
Thank you. That is clean. With a 4.561. We now move on to Mario. Thank you. That is clean. With a 3.381. Thank you. That is also clean. With a 3.778. And Alejandro. Thank you. That is clean. With a 6.202. So you can go on to your third attempt. Thank you. That is clean. 2.911. Mario can do his third attempt. Thank you. That is clean. 4.027. And then now it's Clara. Thank you. That's clean. 4.655. And Alejandro. Thank you. That is clean. With a 3.254. All right. So that was Team Spain's time 3-3 relay. We'll now go on to Team France. And the order is Siegfried, Olivier, Marion, and Adrien. So you can do your first attempt starting with Siegfried. 3.557. It would be now Olivier. That is clean, 5.102. That will be Marion. Whenever you're ready. That is clean, 6.950. And age down. Whenever you're ready. That is clean. 7. And second attempt, whenever you're ready. Clean, 0.763. Olivier. That is clean, 4.167. And Marion. That is clean, 9.845. And Adrian. That is clean, 5.704. Third attempt, whenever you're ready. That is clean, 2.794. Adrian, whenever you're ready. Or Olivier, sorry. That is clean, 3.579. And Mariam. That is clean with a 3.374. And Adrian. That is clean with a 3.917. So we'll go back Team Spain for the cycle. And that's starting with Nicolas. So he can take his 2 warm-ups whenever you're ready. Thank you. First step whenever you're ready. That is clean with a 15.640. Thank you. Second attempt.
No.
That is clean. 10.336. And 30 cents. Thank you. That is clean. 6.857. Well done. we now move on to Alejandro for the cycle, so he can do his 2 warm-ups. Thank you. So you can do your first attempt. That is clean. So 9.345. Thank you. You can do your second attempt. That is clean. 12.778. Thank you. And third attempt. That is also clean. 8.716. Well done. We now move on to Pablo for the cycle. And he can take his 2 warm-ups. Seems to be in an attempt right now. Oh. All right, Pablo, you can take your 2 warm-ups now.
Necesito sugar. Ya lo sé. Ahora, la muerte se va a hacer.
Okay. First attempt whenever you're ready.
Ahora no, para sí.
That is clean.
Listo, Alicia.
12.936. Second attempt whenever you're ready.
Dice que está bien.
796. That is clean. And you can take your third attempt. That is a scratch. So we now go on to Victor. And he can take his 2 warm-ups. Ooh, this would be your first attempt.
No, joder. Nada.
That is clean. 22.282. Second attempt whenever you're ready.
Joder.
Oh, 16.193. And third attempt whenever you're ready. That is clean, 17.638. So that be the cycle for Team Spain. Now go on to Team France with Siegfried, and he can take his 2 warm-ups whenever he's ready. All right, first attempt. 6.479. Second attempt. Is also clean, 6.366. And third attempt. That is clean, 6.241. Now move on to Florent for the cycle. He can do his 2 warm-ups whenever he's ready. First attempt whenever you're ready. Mm, 12.916. Second attempt. $11.344. And third attempt whenever you're ready. Mm, 12.427. We now move on to Marion for the cycle. So you can take your 2 warm-ups whenever you're ready. First attempt whenever you're ready. That is clean, 10.536. Second attempt. Clean, 10.242. And third attempt. $11.096. Cool. We now go on to William. Make his 2 ups whenever he's ready. So, first attempt. .469. That's clean. Second attempt. Nice 16.071. And third attempt. Third attempt whenever you're ready. That is clean. 10.667. Alrighty. Going into the last event, it is tied with both 56 points per team. So this is really will come down to it. So for Team Spain, we have Nicolas, Alejandro, Pablo, and Victor for the cycle head-to-head. So get those on the screen there. All right. So Nicolas, you can
Que ya
take
te han dicho que no vayas a por el
first
6.
attempt.
¿Es que no te sabes ser respetuoso con la gente? ¿A que le digo a Carmen que no te ponga? Pues ya vamos a hacerlo. ¿Eh? ¿Quieres?
That is clean.
Sí, sí, que le te meto.
9.309.
Sí, 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 que le te meto. Pero este es el último ya. Una vida casi, ¿no?
Now go on to Alejandro. Thank you.
No para mí es un 6, ¿eh? ¿Qué? Espera. Oye, dame un
That
momento.
is also clean. So that is an
8.4.
8.498.
Yo que soy otro, y es que...
And we can go on to Pablo for the cycle
Sí.
first.
No, no estoy tratando.
That is a scratch, unfortunately. Victor, do you want to take an attempt?
Ya.
Go for it.
No lo puedo creer que se me hace tiempo.
That's a scratch from Team Spain. We're going to go on to Team France now. With Siegfried, Olivier, Marion, and Adrian.
Escúchame, es un micro abierto, ¿eh?
N'oubliez pas de scratch. Hein.
On l'a bien en tête.
All right, Siegfried can take first attempt. That is clean with a 7.698. Olivier. $13.411. Go on to Marion. Whenever you're ready. That is clean. 10.567. And Adrian. Is also clean. 673. That's all right. We'll now go back to Team Spain with the same order. Nicolas, Alejandro, Pablo, and Victor for the second attempt. Thank you. That is clean. Oh, chocolate time, nice. 6.888. Thank you, Alejandro. That is also clean with an 8.882. And I go on to Pablo. That is clean with a 7.968. And Victor. That is clean. 25.061. Now go back to Team France for their, well, the second attempt, the head-to-head second attempt.
Donc, soyez bien compatibles.
Siegfried can start. That is clean with a 6.944. Olivier. That is clean with a 10.321. And Marion. Whenever you're ready. That is clean with 12.573. And Adrian. That is clean with a 10.870. So I think that is it. Team France win This game, 66-56. It was completely tied all the way up to the head-to-head cycle relay. So that was a super, super close match.
What a fun match.
Very, very
Well,
competitive.
nice match.
Thank
All right,
you.
thank you,
much,
Team
everyone.
Spain.
Thank you so much.
Felicidades
Thank
por
you.
ganar.
Have a good one.
Bye-bye, guys.
Bye.
All right, thanks for judging and streaming.